Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Hyperconscious Podcast. Alan, what is hyperconscious?
Once you understand why something is the way that it is, now you have the power to change it. Great conversations with great people and great questions are the keys to the kingdom of unlocking your consciousness.
Every single action that you do starts as a thought. When you control the way you think, you will control the way you act, and you will control the way you live. That is hyperconscious. Geographically? Geographically. This is cool. So I would say make sure that pretty face is showing.
Yes, true.
They're going to want to see that thing. They're going to want to see that thing, Alan. That face. You good?
Ready?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another very special, as always, episode of the Hyperconscious Podcast. Alan and I are going to do another quick 20-minute scratching the surface episode. Alan, what are we going to do this episode on?
Passion.
Passion.
So what is it? How do you find it? Why does it matter? And how do you know?
How do you know?
When you've got it?
Okay, you want to start. You start, because you have the... You've been prepared for this for weeks.
Yeah.
So I want to hear what you have.
So we wanted to talk about several different things today. First and foremost, what is passion? So I believe that passion is something that provides you joy, happiness, and fulfillment.
Do you want the actual definition from the dictionary?
Yes, I do.
Well, I don't know. This is what popped up when I typed it in. Strong and barely controllable emotion.
Ooh.
Barely controllable, which means like you have a pull towards it, basically.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. There's a great quote by Brendan Burchard. Oddly enough, we're going to his event on the 20th in Phoenix, Arizona.
Yes.
High Performance Academy Live.
We will see you there, sir.
Yes, cannot wait, Brendan. He basically talks about when you're passionate about something, a lot of people support you. I want to talk a little bit about that definition that you just said, because that also kind of describes obsession in a way.
Yes.
Brendan Burchard says that it starts off as passion and eventually it becomes a magnificent obsession. And he says when you're passionate about something, people will encourage you and they'll go, hell yeah. Like, let's say you want to start a new fitness journey. They'll be like, yeah, you got this, you got this. When you start like really getting obsessed, people start to question you. So when you know you've found your thing, your magnificent obsession, I think most people around you will find you strange and they'll try to like have you dial it down.
So we talk about purpose a lot too. How would you differentiate passion from purpose?
I think they're linked.
Okay.
We talked about that a little bit in the preamble. Yeah. I think that if they're not linked, you probably won't be as passionate about whatever that thing is.
Do you think so is passion the gasoline and then your purpose is the vehicle? Kind of?
Yeah. Yep.
Like
this
that?
podcast would be kind of like the vehicle for your purpose.
Because my passion is helping.
Yes.
One of my passions is helping people.
Yes.
And the reason I know it's my passion is because I've been doing it for years, and I've never once have gotten any or expected any form of payment, I've just done it because I enjoy it, and I enjoy helping people, and I want to change the world. So then linking up with Joe Rogan and realizing, wow, I could podcast, I can ask good questions, I can sit down with people.
Yeah.
Then this became the vehicle to ultimately drive my passion.
So your passion is helping people.
Yes.
The podcast is the vehicle to achieve that passion,
Yes.
and your purpose is also helping people.
Yeah, I feel like passion and purpose are very,
very, very interchangeable.
very interchangeable.
For sure.
Yeah.
I want to break down a framework that I actually very rarely talk about, but this is a speech that I plan on giving at some point. Joy, happiness, and fulfillment. Most people say they want to be happy. And I think it's not that simple because happiness is result reliant. In other words, it's an if-then. If you have a goal, for example, let's say you want to go to a party and talk to some specific man or woman, you have that intention set. Happiness is result reliant in the sense that if I talk to this person and they respond in a way that I expect and want, then I'll be happy. But joy is a different thing. Joy is when you're in the moment, in the process of doing what you're doing. Right now, you and I are joyful because we are doing our passion.
Yes.
So I'm going to break this down. So joy is when you're in process. Happiness is if then. In other words, if this episode goes well, then we will be happy. Third, fulfillment. Fulfillment, I believe, only comes when you're investing now to grow and contribute to others. So it has to be something that grows you, like this podcast forces us to grow,
Absolutely.
level up, and contribute beyond ourselves. So that's the thing. People are like, what do you want in life? They're like, oh, I want to be happy. But if they understood that it's not just happiness, happiness is result reliant. Therefore, you're going to be unhappy a lot of your time because a lot of times things just don't go well. But that's kind of the framework around sort of passion that I wanted to bring to the table, because when you find your passion, it's going to be something that brings you a ton of joy while you're in the process of doing it. It's going to be something that most of the time brings you happiness, not always, because you won't always get the result you want, and it'll definitely bring you fulfillment, and that's the big one, meaning something that will last beyond the moment, something that you're investing in to create a brighter future, not just for yourself, but for other people.
So we'll give the listeners a little behind the scenes. This podcast basically runs on passion.
Oh, yeah.
If we didn't have passion for this, it would not exist right now because we have crawled through so much mud.
Yeah. All the mud.
Last night we sat down to record this. Was that last night?
No, 2 nights ago.
2 nights ago. Oh no, we did
Kevin
another
already
episode
erased it
last
from
night,
his memory because
right?
it was.
So 2 nights ago we bought brand new cameras.
Oh yeah.
This was supposed to be the thing. This was going to be the.
This
is it. This is it. This is the one.
This is the one.
So we set the cameras up and they're just terrible.
Oh, awful.
Terrible,
The
awful.
worst, yeah.
So that really threw me off, and you could tell I was
We were
very
both-
beside myself.
That's an example of result reliant
yeah,
happiness.
yeah.
Yep.
We had expectations of a
expected
certain
it.
thing,
Yep.
but the thing is, what got us through? What got us through that? We
Passion.
have passion for this.
Yep.
The fact that we realize that okay, whatever.
Yeah.
We often don't get the result we want. The fact is, we just keep coming back until we do. That's
Getting
how you get
better
the
each
result you
time.
want.
Yeah.
That's how you get the result you want. I wrote this down as we were doing our little preamble. I'm not supposed to move my notebook, but I just did. So sue me.
There goes the focus of the camera. No, you're good.
I wrote down that things that you're passionate about, you're willing to fear chase towards. And the reason I say that is because if you said, hey, Kevin, I know you don't like bars, but let's go fear chase at the bar, I'm most likely going to say no.
Yeah.
But if you were to
You
say...
have said no.
I have said
Yeah,
no.
you have said
I
no.
see no value in it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I just don't.
Yep.
But if you want me to go fear chase at an event, at Lori Harder's event with 300 women, you want me to ask a question, I'm all in.
And you did
Why?
it without even me asking.
Because that's part of my passion. Me asking that question makes me a better me, which makes me able to help.
Yeah,
It
more
help-
people.
It's just...
It's all connected.
It's all connected. It's all connected. So if you find yourself willing to get out of your comfort zone for something, there's a good chance that it may be a passion of yours. Make sure your passions are positive,
Yeah.
because another quote I try to use with people is, people always say, oh, there's no way I could get up at 4:30 or 5 or 6 or 7 or any time earlier than they are, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I say, would you get up for sex? If you had the most beautiful man or woman waiting for sex at 4:30 in the morning, would you be there or no?
Yeah.
If you would be there, you're just more passionate about that than the other thing.
The gym or whatever.
Whatever it is.
Whatever it
and
is.
I don't know. I don't know if that's a law. I don't know. But in my mind, it really makes sense to link that up.
So that's kind of why power. The
Yeah.
reason you have to get up
Yeah.
needs to be. I remember
But
with
they're all connected.
They're oh yeah, totally.
all
That's
connected.
actually kind of why we're doing this. This is a why power kind of part 2. Passion and why power
Yeah.
are very linked. Purpose. It's all very very similar. One thing that we wanted to talk about in the preamble, we mentioned this, was willpower. We talked about why power. We're talking about passion and purpose now.
Yes.
Let's bring willpower to the table so that the listeners really understand the difference. So, do you want to start that, or should I just?
You want
hammer
me
it?
just to hammer my point quick?
Yeah, please.
So this is something that I learned when I was traveling for work, and this is funny too, guys. If you go back and listen to like the Scratching the Surfaces from the very beginning, it basically is a biography of my life getting worse at work. And
getting
you can
better
tell,
in your purpose.
Yeah, and then getting better at my purpose. You can tell by the way I named the episodes that, like, oh, geez, okay, this is what's happening.
Yeah.
But when now I forgot what I was gonna say. Oh, when I would get home on midnight on Friday after working an 8-hour day and then driving 6 hours home, or I would get home at 2 or 3 in the morning on Saturday,
Yep.
driving 14 hours home from Virginia.
My goodness.
You only have so much
Energy.
willpower.
Yeah.
And when I got home, I was working maybe 40 hours a week, but if you added travel in, it was like 60. And how much time did I really have to find my passion? maybe find it. Sure. How much time did I have to practice my passion?
Yeah.
I know Gary Vee is very hardcore on this, and he says, look, we all have 24 hours, make the best out of them. But I understand that not everybody's built that way, and willpower is a legitimate thing.
Yeah.
You know, it's hard to make yourself do something when you're exhausted from, you have to have that thing that's guiding you.
Yep, totally. So the best framework I've ever had for willpower for everyone out there is it's like the phone battery on your phone. Every night you recharge when you sleep, just like you're charging your phone in your sleep. When the screen brightness is all the way up, how quickly does your phone die?
Oh, yeah, immediately.
Yeah, right? So the screen brightness is an analogy. Kevin will like this. Mr. Analogy over there is like doing things you don't fucking want to do. Now, let's make it clear. You're going to have to do some shit you don't want to do, especially out of the gate. There's this great quote by Gary Keller in The One Thing. It's a book. He says, life is actually a short race. It's a sprint all out at the beginning till you create a habit, and then it's a long-distance race.
I like that.
I love that because it's the tortoise and the hare, but the beginning is really, really tough. So if you're out there, like Kevin just mentioned, and you're going to a job you don't like, or you're in a relationship that you don't like, or you're doing something that you're not passionate about at all, you're going to drain your willpower far more than we are. Because most of what we do on the day-to-day is what we want to do. So keep that in mind. And so if you're in that spot, try to allocate as much willpower as you can to try to find things that you actually do want to design your life around.
And we were talking about that before. Like, we were talking about how our lives are set up now.
Yeah.
And, like, I really enjoy my days.
Yes.
There are things that I want to do. I want to be able to go train Muay Thai every day. I want to make that a habit.
Yes.
I'm unable to do that right now because, number one, I don't have the time.
Yeah.
And number two, my finances are better off pointed in this direction towards the podcast to, new gear, traveling, all these things.
Yeah.
But and it won't always be that way.
Yeah.
But I think that's another like good indicator of, are you living in your passion? Are you happy in the present? And are you okay if the future is just like an exponential footprint of the present? That's what we want our future to be. We want it to be our present
but
times
like amplified. Ooh, that's a good distinction.
I feel like a lot of people, it's like, oh my goodness, I am working this job. I need to get out of this, and then what? Why is your hand over your mouth? Are you choking?
I just had a crazy aha moment.
Let's go.
I was saying to Kevin, this was 2 days ago, I said, when you're around people who aren't excited for the future, that's like one of the biggest indicators that they don't actually like their life.
Yes.
People that are reverting to the past or reverting to things they should or shouldn't be doing. I said to Kevin, I said, used to bees and should bees don't produce no honey. But people who aren't amped about the future, dude, you just killed it with that. You're basically taking your life right now and you want to amplify that. Whether it's more money or more networking or more Muay Thai or more podcasting or more of whatever you're doing.
And don't get it twisted, because you're not going to be the same, though. Because as you level up, as you get to the next level, you're going to become a new person.
Yeah.
You're going to become another level of a person.
Yeah.
So don't think that when I say that means, well, I just got to stay the same and just get better. No. You getting better will make you a different person. That's every single episode. That's what this is.
Yeah.
Every episode, every guest is a barometer of how well we're doing.
Yeah.
And it's just like the guests keep getting bigger and different, and we have different experiences, and we ask better questions.
Yeah. And our consciousness expands every time.
Yeah. And if we keep doing what we're doing,
yeah,
which is our passion,
yeah,
it's pretty easy to do
doing
what we're doing because we love it. How much better are we going to get?
Yeah, we should talk about momentum
Sure.
a little. So
Big Mo.
Big Mo. Yeah. So momentum is another thing. When you're chasing your passion, at first it's really hard because everything's hard at first. So get that through. Like if you're starting a gym session, if you're podcasting at first was so hard.
It was
Remember
so
at
hard.
one point it was only once every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And then you fell off for like a month.
I fell off for a couple months.
Yeah, man. And dude, like let's talk about that struggle, because now it's like, if you were to look at how often we're doing 2 a week now, at one point 2 a week was an impossibility.
Now, and when we say we're doing 2 a week, that means we're releasing 2 a week.
Yeah, exactly.
We're actually doing. We did 4 or 5 last week.
Yeah, man. It's been
so like we're hammering it.
It's been a lot.
But the point is, man, when I started this, So for those who are new listeners, Alan was the first guest on the podcast when it was just me.
Yep.
And what was it, 19?
Welcome to the
or 17?
motherfucking
I know,
hyperconscious
jeez. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry I opened with that. I apologize. I regret it to this day.
Speaking of too passionate.
But we're
no.
growing. But that was part of growth.
It was
and
part
that's
of
why
growth.
we left
Failing
it there.
forward.
That's why we left it there.
Yep.
But when did you join? 17?
I think so.
I think it was 17.
18 New Year's Eve episode.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that was a while ago.
Oh, yeah.
That was a while ago.
Yep.
Before it was you and I didn't have the same level of passion.
Yes.
Because I didn't have the same. I didn't have somebody who was congruent with the mission.
I
picked up another player on the team.
Dude, the team. Okay, so something just came to me. I always talk about how I like to study people and pattern recognition. Success leaves clues. When someone has something that you want, it's because they're doing things differently or thinking differently. Real quick, I always noticed this, Kevin. The happiest people in the world to me, when I looked around, were athletes. And I always wondered why. And now I know why, kind of. First of all, physiology. Think about it. They're team players working towards something they care about together, collectively. They're improving every day because they have to. They have coaches, a.k.a. mentors. They're all working towards a fixed goal together as a team. They're in their bodies and they're exercising. They're probably eating right for the most part, right? So they're taking care of their mind and body without even knowing it. And that's like a thing. So if you have something you're passionate about, I think everyone should have their sport. For you, it's going to be Muay Thai.
Yes.
Or boxing or whatever it is. For me, it's
some form of combat.
men's physique, fitness athlete. Also, you should have your thing in your career, something that you're passionate about in your career. You should also have a passionate relationship, intimate relationship. Like surround your life with things you love, with people you love, with things you love, with places you love. And then you're going to be more motivated. When you see someone who's crazy motivated, it's not because they're some super deity, superhuman. It's because they found things they care about more than you.
Right.
Therefore, they were willing to crawl through more mud. Therefore, they were willing to up the ante on their habits more. So, like when you look at The Rock, you see how damn productive that guy is. He loves his life.
Yeah, he loves it.
He loves it.
loves
and
it.
if he didn't, he wouldn't be that productive.
Right. And I want people to also realize, like, just because we're talking so heavily about passion and like the podcast being our passion, you don't necessarily have to go all in on your passion.
Yeah.
Like you don't have to.
Yeah.
If you say you go to a job that you enjoy, it doesn't have to be number one. It doesn't have to be your passion, but make time for what lights you up. Make time for your passions.
Good segue to we're going to do a
We
Scratching
are.
the Surface episode.
We are.
So we just podcasted with Cheryl Hunter.
We did.
Shout out to her, next level rep. She had a cool thing that we took notes on. She said what she does with her clients is writes down 25 things that fill their cup.
Fill their cup, yeah.
So we're going to do that exercise, and then we're going to talk about things that fill your cup.
And there's a reason all these scratching the surfaces are connected, because this is kind of the groundwork of what goes on behind the scenes for us.
In life.
Yeah, and in life. And I'm not saying, like, that's a thing that I've gotten flack for in the past. Like, I'm very passionate about if you're not happy at your job, get another job. Go do something that makes you happier. I understand some people are in scenarios and circumstances where maybe they're stuck in the mud right now and it's not feasible. They have to do what they have to do until they can do what they want to.
Yes.
I understand that.
Yep.
But try to find some passion that you can get, whether it's photography on a Saturday. This is something that always blows my mind. Who decides we work 5 days a week, 6 days a week, and you get 2 days to yourself? Who decided that? It's bullshit.
It's called the Industrial Revolution.
Well, it bothers
in corporate
me.
America.
I would like to talk to whoever created that. I'd like to have a word with them.
Right, sit in traffic.
So I understand that, like, maybe you even hearing that Alan and I kind of went all in on this because it's our passion. It just find something that makes you happy. Maybe it's writing.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean you have to be the next J.K. Rowling.
Yeah.
If you don't want to, you don't have to. But find something that is going to make you be more of yourself, be a better version of yourself.
And here's the cool thing. If you don't at least start, let's say you're passionate about writing and you know that, but you never write. Aristotle, I think of this quote every single day. You are what you repeatedly do. If you don't ever start writing, at least on the weekends like Kevin's describing, you'll never even know if it is your passion, and you'll certainly never know if you will be the next J.K. Rowling.
How did this start?
What if J.K. Rowling never started writing?
Yeah.
At first, she didn't say, "Oh, I'm going to be the #1 author in the history of the world." She didn't. She started writing, and then she was like, "I had a big idea." She even said it in her commencement address. She said, "I had a typewriter and a big idea. I had no home. I had a daughter I love, a typewriter, and a big idea. I was basically as poor as you can be in London or Britain, London, without being homeless." And it's like she knew she had a passion. And it grew from there. So it doesn't have to be this all-in
No.
thing right out of the gate.
The fact so for those who follow me on Instagram, you saw my Instagram story last night. I couldn't fall asleep. I was overwhelmed because I'm thinking of all the traveling we're doing, right? But what actually got me to this point of overwhelm? Passion.
Yeah.
Passion got me here.
Yep.
6 months ago, these were thoughts.
Yep.
A year ago, I couldn't even fathom this.
Yeah.
I couldn't even fathom this.
Crazy.
So,
But if you didn't start,
if I didn't start, if I didn't have that pull to be like, oh, what would that be like to sit down and ask somebody these questions?
right?
To dig deep in their mind. And I wonder if people think like I do. Do people think like I do?
Yeah.
This all started from something greater than me, something that made me want to get out of my comfort zone. I wondered for a long time why I didn't like the bar scene. Because it has no value to me.
Yeah.
It doesn't make me a better person.
It's nothing you care about.
It's nothing I care about. I'm not passionate about going out and drinking.
Yeah.
I'm passionate about changing people's fucking lives.
Love it,
Whoop.
man. I love it.
Sweating in here, Judge.
So do we want to touch on the...
Oh!
shit.
Yeah, man.
Do you want to touch on the Eulerian Destiny?
How did that feel?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
That's the buzzer. No, I don't think we should do... Do we have time for the Eulerian
We
Destiny?
can hammer it. Can
We'll
you
do
hammer it
super
quick?
Fast?
Yeah, hammer it quick.
But then I got the dramatic reading, Kevin.
Well, you're gonna do both of them? You
I
get
was
to pick
gonna...
one.
Would you... I gotta pick one?
Yeah.
But the Eulerian Destiny will be super fast.
All right, hammer him.
Okay. Super fast.
He's like a child. If he doesn't get his way, he kicks his feet.
Super fast for everybody. There's something called an Eulerian Destiny that I did a while back that really helped me find my passion. Picture a Venn diagram with 4 circles. And the coolest part about this is that the center of the circles, all 4 circles, is kind of shaped like a North Star, which is, as you know, my True North thing. So,
Why don't you show it to the camera?
in the upper... Yeah, True North. There it is.
No, the diagram.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so they can see it.
And there it is. And for all those on audio, I'm sorry that you can't see it. The upper left-hand circle is what you grew up around. Just write anything you can think of. Aunts, uncles, parents, siblings, whatever they were doing, whatever you were around a lot. Second circle, what do strangers say about you? This is people that have no vested interest in buttering you up. They just came up to you and were like, you know what, you have a nice smile. You know what, you're great at speaking. You know what, you look like an actor. Or you look like you could be on film. Whatever it is.
And that is a true one because people have always said I open up really. I've never opened up to anybody like you before.
Yep.
And I never thought anything about it until I started podcasting. I'm like, oh, that makes sense.
Yep.
That's why I'm doing this.
Exactly. The third one is can talk about this thing endlessly. So we always talk about this with the Dream Team. Fitness always comes up. We talk about fitness all the time. We talk about the podcast all the time. We talk about deep conversations all the time, goals, dreams, right? So what do you end up talking about all the time on a Friday or Saturday night with your friends? Okay, that's the third circle. Fourth circle, what have you done for the past 5 to 10 years? Like, what is your experience? What do you have? What arenas have you been in? What mentors have you had? What career have you been kind of guided towards at all? Figure out where all 4 of these things meet. Write everything you can think of, and there's going to be a clarity that emerges on some level. That's the Eulerian Destiny.
Boom. Now for the dramatic reading.
And now for the dramatic reading. Hopefully, this is slightly longer than the last one, but it's going to be great. So this is from my favorite speech in the entire world, Steve Jobs, the 2005 Stanford Address, and this is about passion. So this is super, super relevant. Okay. Here we go. I was lucky. I found what I loved to do early in life. Woz and I started Apple in my parents' garage when I was 20. We worked hard, and in 10 years, Apple had grown from just the 2 of us in a garage into a $2 billion company with over 4,000 employees. We had just released our finest creation, the Macintosh, a year earlier, and I had just turned 30. And then I got fired. How can you get fired from a company you started? Well, as Apple grew, we hired someone who I thought was very talented to run the company with me, and for the first year or so, things went well. But then our visions of the future began to diverge, and eventually we had a falling out. When we did, our board of directors sided with him, so at 30, I was out, and very publicly out. What had been the focus of my entire adult life was gone, and it was devastating. I really didn't know what to do for a few months. I felt that I had let the previous generation of entrepreneurs down, that I had dropped the baton as it was being passed to me. I met with David Packard and Bob Noyce and tried to apologize for screwing up so badly. I was a very public failure, and I even thought about running away from the valley. But something slowly began to dawn on me. I still loved what I did. The turn of events at Apple had not changed that one bit. I had been rejected, but I was still in love, and so I decided to start over. I didn't see it then, but it turned out that getting fired from Apple was one of the best things that ever happened to me. The heaviness of being successful was replaced by the lightness of being a beginner again, less sure about everything. It freed me to enter one of the most creative periods of my life. During the next 5 years, I started a company named Next, another company named Pixar, and fell in love with an amazing woman who became my wife. Pixar went on to create the world's first computer-animated feature film, Toy Story, and is now the most successful animation studio in the world. In a remarkable turn of events, Apple bought Next. I returned to Apple, and the technology we developed is now at Apple's current renaissance. And Laureen and I have a wonderful family together. I'm pretty sure none of this would have happened if I hadn't been fired from Apple. It was awful tasting medicine, but I guess the patient needed it. Sometimes life hits you in the head with a brick. Don't lose faith. I'm convinced that the only thing that kept me going was that I loved what I did. You've got to find what you love, and that is as true for your work as it is for your lovers. Your work is going to fill a large part of your life, and the only way to be truly satisfied is to do what you believe is great work. And the only way to do great work is to love what you do. If you haven't found it yet, keep looking and don't settle. As with all matters of the heart, you'll know when you find it. And like any great relationship, it just gets better and better as the years roll on. So keep looking until you find it. Don't settle.
Love it. You know, anybody who listens knows I'm a giant proponent of not settling, and I think that Mr. Jobs was well ahead of his time.
Mr. Steve Jobs, folks. Man of his passions.
You have anything you want to wrap up with?
If you do not love what you do enough to want to be the best at it, get out of it like you would a burning building. You got to love what you do. That's all I have to say.
All right, ladies and gents. Well, we kind of went all over the place there, as we often do. But I think that the point we're trying to make is a lot of people just kind of glide through life, and they have these random happy spots, and they don't really know why they're happy at that given time. And part of being hyper-conscious is figuring out what fills your cup, figuring out what you're truly passionate about, figuring out when you're willing to get out of your comfort zone. Like, the things you're willing to get out of your comfort zone for are the things that you're most likely passionate about.
Yes.
And we want you guys to find the stuff that you're passionate about, because you will be happier, you will be more willing to chase your dreams, get over your fears, and figure your life out. And that's truly what we want for you guys.
I'm feeling this big time in this moment. I think this is super important. Can I say one more thing?
Yes, you can.
Okay. So
that's it. Bye.
Picture a time. Yeah. Everyone out there right now, I really sit there and picture a moment when you were falling in love with a person. If you've never fallen in love before, you probably will at some point. You definitely will at some point with another person. When you first meet them, all of a sudden you start getting all these visions of the future. All of a sudden you start picturing what life might be like with them, what it might be like to start a family with them, maybe get married with them. You start meeting their friends, they meet your friends. All of a sudden you think about living with them, having cars together, homes together, integrating your goals and dreams. That is when you know you're falling in love, when all of a sudden the future becomes more. And it's not just about you anymore. That is when you know you've found your purpose.
I think that is a great way to end. That is a beautiful thing, and that is the way you formulated that thought, that really, really adds perspective to it. I think that's a great example.
Thank you, brother.
Proud of you.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we hope you enjoyed this episode as much as we enjoyed recording it. I am sweating profusely because we are fired up, but we hope you enjoy it, and we will chat with you later.
And we just scratched the surface.
Bye. Ladies and gents, we hope you enjoyed our latest episode of Scratching the Surface. Up next, we have Frederick Barnes. Frederick Barnes is a motion artist. I found him on Instagram. I showed him to Alan, and then a couple weeks later, I said, imagine if we could podcast with him. Thoughts become things, and it was a dope rep.
We love to pull back the curtain, the person behind the work. That's what we did in this episode. Frederick was really, really cool. Very down to earth, humble guy. Phenomenal.
Yes, you guys do not want to miss this one, and we hope you enjoy it.
Talk to you soon.
Bye. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much for listening to another episode of the Hyper Conscious Podcast.
Going hyper-conscious will absolutely change your life, because if you understand why something is the way it is, now you have the power to change it. If you going hyper-conscious with us has changed your life in any way, please share this episode with one of your friends, because the more people that go hyper-conscious, the better this world's going to be for everybody.
And if you would kindly leave us a 5-star review on iTunes, that would help us make more people hyper-conscious, and we would be greatly appreciative.
Thank you.
Bye.